Hello everybody, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft, and I'm here and back from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm back to cast you guys some more Heart of the Swarm action. And today we're going to be looking at a Terran versus Zerg. The Terran player in question is going to be the blue Terran player in the bottom right-hand corner of Belshir Vestige, and he is part of Team Evil Geniuses. You guys might know him by the name EG.Demuslim. He's obviously a very, very good Terran from the United Kingdom, or from England, whichever way you want to look at it. And his opponent is going to be MYI.DustSwarm, who is going to be the red Zerg player at the top left-hand corner. And this is going to be a Terran versus Zerg. Both of these players are obviously very talented. Team MYI has been fielding some pretty cool players. Sony is one of the guys that I've been casting a lot of videos of. And I'm actually really thrilled to be able to cast some of his teammates here because his team has been doing pretty well in the videos that I've been casting. EG.Demuslim obviously has always been a household name, and he's always a rock-solid star Terran player. So very much looking forward to seeing what he can do here in this TvZ. So it is going to be a barracks opening coming out from EG.Demuslim right away. He does have a refinery coming in the mineral line as well, so he's probably going to open with a couple of Reapers here, try to get a little bit of early scouting information in. And a lot of times Terrans like to throw a bunker behind the mineral line or even next to the hatchery and just use that as a kind of a safe house for the Reaper in case the Reaper needs to retreat, and it can also just stay in there and start to do a ton of damage against the walls of the hatchery as well. So I'm thinking EG.Demuslim here probably gonna send out an SCV pretty soon, but I could be wrong. He might just go for a pretty quick factory as well, instead of going for the early proxy bunker. But there is a Reaper coming. And that seems to be the way that Terran players like to play TvZ nowadays. By the way, guys, I had an excellent time in Las Vegas. I actually was playing a little bit of poker at the tables, and some people ended up recognizing me. So nerds unite, whether it's on the video games, online, on the forums, or on the poker tables. So that was kind of cool. And I actually won a little bit of money. I lost some the first day, won some the next day, so I ended up winning a little bit just to pay for my expenses to go there and come back. For those of you guys who may or may not know, I do play a lot of poker just for fun. Yeah, that's kind of my pastime. Anyways, we do have a Reaper coming out right now for EG.Demuslim, and he did not bring an SCV to be aggressive with this Reaper, so he's just going to try to do a little bit of lone scouting action. He does actually have a buddy coming from the barracks, so he might be able to back this up with additional firepower. Remember, the Reaper nowadays, it's good, but it doesn't do that much damage to workers anymore. So just one Reaper actually can't kill off the worker line. And you can see the Zerg players nowadays will just use the drones that are being damaged, and oh, very nice right there, makes them into buildings. And that was actually pretty close. Now the Zerglings are out on the map, and you can see the buildings are being canceled so that the funds are sent back to the bank, I guess, of the Zerg player, if the Zerg players actually have a bank. Terrans have a bank, you know. Terrans got that interest rate and everything going. I don't know what Zergs have. They have like a, I don't know, maybe like a pool of minerals that they draw upon. And who knows what they use minerals for. They certainly don't pay for their units. They just use them to make new units. So anyways, we do have two Reapers on the field now, which is a little bit more threatening. Zergling speed is on the way, but really, DustSwarm doesn't have to worry too much unless like a third or fourth Reaper comes in. These two Reapers don't present too much of a threat. I mean, they do a lot of damage now that, you know, there's two of them, but it's not enough to, you know, threaten the queen, threaten the drone line or anything like that. So we can see EG.Demuslim actually doing a pretty good job of just running in, scouting, and seeing that, you know, things are pretty standard for DustSwarm. There's nothing that looks out of the ordinary or out of the question. And that's always important for these Reapers to go ahead and get in there and get that information. Back at home, he did throw out additional command centers, and so he is going for that macro CC. He might even be able to kill off this queen, in fact, utilizing the Reaper's ability to obviously heal when they're outside of combat. But looking back at EG.Demuslim's base, he does have a command center. He's actually making Hellions right now out of the factory. And, you know, Terran players, they can go for Widow Mines. They don't necessarily have to in Terran versus Zerg. You know, a lot of times I do see Terran players going for a few Widow Mines early game, but they seem to use the Widow Mines more often rather than not against Protoss, just because it does a little bit more damage against Protoss, obviously, with that extra 35 damage versus shields. But here comes these winged Zerglings, the winged variant, just a cosmetic change, obviously. But they are boosted with Zergling speed. And quite fast that they are, they will be able to get this Hellion. No, they won't, actually. Not enough surface area to focus it down. And so the Hellion should be able to dodge. Oh, maybe not, actually. The Zerglings are actually a little bit faster than you might expect, even though it's just a cosmetic change. And now the Zergling's getting inside the middle line, gonna try to go for the Mule. The Mule trying to be repaired as well, and DeMuslim repairs it just in the nick of time, keeping it alive. Very good control right there. A lot of times when you get attacked like that, you kind of, you know, get it all flustered and you right-click on the minerals or you click on the wrong things, but DeMuslim was very cool and calm-headed there, just, you know, hit repair on that Mule, targeting it exactly and keeping it alive, which is very good micro. But we do have Widow Mines coming out. That was just being produced on the production tab. And so we will be seeing some mines pretty soon. DustSwarm is actually going for a lot of Roaches and Zerglings here, and he does have a Baneling nest in the back. I wonder if he's planning to go for a Roach Baneling bust. You know, it seems to be, to me, that he is going for a lot of aggressive units here. Now, maybe just because he needs to defend against these Hellions and Reapers, but now that he has basically over-defended against it, will he commit to some aggression? And I think the answer is yes. He's actually got 9 Banelings morphing here just outside the walls of the Terran base, but DeMuslim has fortified it not just with supply depots and engineering base, but also with Widow Mines. Wow, very, very cool here from DeMuslim. And this is going to be a very hard wall for Banelings alone to break. Now, these Zerglings are going to come in and scout the area. They might be able to get the jump on these Widow Mines, but no, DustSwarm doesn't. And now he's going to send the Banelings in. And really, I mean, yeah, they're going to blow through a couple of buildings, but I wonder if it's going to be enough here. DeMuslim, I mean, he's got so many mines here, but there are a lot of Roaches coming through, and these Roaches are going to be a big problem. The SCVs are also trying to run away from the Banelings, and no, DustSwarm does not manually detonate. He misses a huge opportunity to get a bunch of SCV kills, but he's still got Roaches here, and it looks like he's going to get at least a few. 5 SCVs have gone down already, and now it looks like DustSwarm might have to think about pulling out, because you got to remember that Sentinel missile payload recharges, and when it does, I mean, they do a lot of damage, and there it goes, detonating on the Roaches. Actually, that Roach is going to end up dying, but not before +1 weapons was canceled. And so that was a pretty good play by DustSwarm. He still has Banelings back here, and at the very least, while he's doing this, he's preventing mining for DeMuslim, so DeMuslim cannot be too happy about the situation. Oh, but that Widow Mine just kills off all the Banelings, but one Baneling gets detonation, and a lot of SCVs in the red here. The Roaches are going to try to finish him off, and 15 SCVs have gone down already. Not a good situation for DeMuslim. Really, all those SCVs just ran up to that Baneling like it wasn't even there, but it was, and it detonated, and it killed off, it didn't kill off actually any SCVs, but it weakened them down to the point where it was just slim pickings for the Roaches, and that has got to be, in the eyes of DustSwarm, a successful attack. Really, Roach Banelings, highly aggressive. He kills off, you know, a good amount of SCVs, and now he's got another hatchery coming. Don't forget he delayed the mining for DeMuslim for a really, really long time. So DeMuslim here, the British player, will he be able to pull it together? He's not too far behind, because you got to remember, DustSwarm, you know, he sacrifices a lot going for that early aggression. Namely the economy that the Zerg player would normally have, which is, you know, this third hatchery. You know, that's a big sacrifice for a Zerg player to take. So I don't think DeMuslim is too far behind, believe it or not. You've got to remember, he's got a macro command center as well, so he can, you know, he can afford to lose a couple of SCVs here or there. He can rebuild them so quickly. And in fact, he's going to go for another expansion now. Don't forget, we've got Medivacs on the way, +1/+1 being restarted at the new engineering bays. And DeMuslim is just in high gear right now. He's trying to get everything back into full macro production mode, and it's not too hard to do when you do have that macro CC. And DustSwarm has actually got a Hydralisk stand here. This is something that a lot of Zerg players are utilizing nowadays, even against Terran. You know, Protoss and Terran alike. Hydras are just so good now with Hydra speed. I talk about this all the time, I know, but they really are. And Roaches and Hydras are very, very, very good. Pooping on the command center, always a good way to delay and distract the Terran, getting inside his head. But a couple of Marines are going to come in here and clear this area out. So there we go. That command center will be able to land eventually. But yes, as I was saying before, Roaches and Hydras, very, very good. We do have Hydra range, excuse me, on the way. Hydra speed has already been finished. And Roaches and Hydras in general, pretty solid against almost everything that Terrans can go with, except for maybe Sky Terran. Sky Terran is very, very good, obviously, against everything. But anyways, here we go. Roaches and Hydras coming in, and the Marines and Marauders don't really know what to do about that. Sometimes Terran players will experiment with going with mass Hellbats, as Hellbats are pretty effective against Hydralisks. Widow Mines aren't too shabby either. We'll see how this plays out. This is interesting. You know, it's Marine, Marauder, Medevac with some Widow Mines mixed in, and oh, Changelings come in, and it looks like they are able to transform before those Sentinel missiles were able to detect an enemy presence. But here comes the Roaches and Hydras on the high ground. +1/+1 for the Terran player, about to finish up just seconds away. That's a huge upgrade, allowing them to stay on par with the Roaches and Hydras. But DustSwarm, I think he's gonna have to pull back. This is not a good position for him. He's in between the third and the reinforcements from the natural, and he does actually have to retreat here as 1-1 finishes up for the Marines and Marauders, who are now drugged up on stim. And they are hungry for Zerg blood. The good thing, you know, that these Hydras do have speed, because if they didn't, you know, the Roaches would have left them behind a long time ago in Wings of Liberty, and the Hydras would be just left behind to rot and die to the stimmed up Marines and Marauders. So that's nice, obviously, for not only aggression, but for a Zerg player who needs to retreat, you can get the Hydras out there, you know, really quickly. Anyways, we do have this massive army on the left-hand side of the map here. I'm wondering if he's going to load up in the medevacs and go for a potential drop. You know, it would be really effective. Meanwhile, it looks like, no, he's going to pull back most of his troops, and the Hydras and Roaches are coming back in for another attack. This time, they're going to try to hit this command center, but I think this is quite risky. The Roaches and Hydras do kill off the Widow Mines, but I don't think DustSwarm has enough here, and there's too many bio units. You're going to get a full surround, and the entire Zerg army in a lot of trouble. They are now in retreat, and the big loss right there for DustSwarm, who's now lost 8,300 minerals. A couple of Widow Mines coming in to plant themselves down behind the Zerg mineral line as well, and that's going to be pretty devastating until that Overseer can provide, you know, adequate detection. They're going to continue to detonate drones one by one. And here we go. It looks like a potential drop coming in here, but it is deflected as DustSwarm postures his forces on the high ground there in the main base and able to keep the Terran units away. Now all of a sudden, I've got to say it's a pretty close game. I think with that last big battle, EG.Demuslim had to have evened out the odds. He just got a massive victory by killing off so many Zerg forces. And now as you look at the supply and the income, you know, the resources banked up, it is very close. Maybe EG.Demuslim in fact has a slight edge because he does have map control. But here comes DustSwarm. He doesn't want to concede the middle of the map. Gonna come in with everything he's got. Does he have enough Roaches and Hydras to bust through EG.Demuslim's lines? EG.Demuslim actually has a ton of medevacs up here, but not enough healage, I don't think, for this many Roaches and Hydras. And now EG.Demuslim is going to have to get these medevacs out of here. Most of them boosting out. Some of them were left behind to die. And that's a big win right there for MYI.DustSwarm. Beautiful play. Getting the surround, getting the jump, really. It was an ambush on EG.Demuslim's forces when I guess they were just recovering from their for their drug usage, the usage of stim, kind of recovering for a little bit there, and then getting caught from all sides. And now DustSwarm is going to go to the left and probably take off this planetary fortress. I don't see how EG.Demuslim's going to be able to save this unless he cancels and lifts off, but he gets a cancel off at the very least, but wasn't able to lift in time. You know, typically you'd lift there to prevent the Roaches' damage from coming through, and he wasn't able to get that done. Now he's going to go for the attack. He's stemmed up all of his Marines, and Marines are at 2-2. But so are the Roaches and Hydras, and there's just too many Roaches and Hydras. You know, this is just so cool to watch. You know, Zerg versus Terran nowadays. The possibility of Zerg going Roaches and Hydras against Bio was never before considered until Heart of the Storm. But it now, you know, now it's obviously a very powerful composition, and EG.Demuslim just doesn't have an answer for this. He's trying to make more Marines right now. But these, you know, the firepower of these Roaches and Hydras is just too great. I really think he needs to get Hellbats going. You know, some Hellbats mixed in with his army. You know, some siege tanks aren't a bad option either. I'm so surprised he hasn't made a single siege tank this game, you know, considering, you know, they come out of the factory pre-prepared with siege mode. You don't really need siege mode to be researched. A couple of tanks here I think would be really good, but he's not going for it. He's gonna go in for an attack here though. Does he have enough medevacs to keep his Marines fortified? I don't think so. A couple of Marines coming around the right-hand side. They're able to survive, and those two guys are very brave. Meanwhile, there is actually a drop going on the right expansion, and it looks like this drop is going to be able to punch through a couple of spores and spines, but the damage, I think, is going to be superficial. Not really going to be able to really do any long-term damage to the Zerg player, but DeMuslim using it as a distraction to boost his entire army into the main base of the Zerg player, and this is going to hit the home run. Wow, the entire Zerg army out of position. He needs to get the forces dropped down immediately. Vipers are out on the field, though. They are going to get blinding clouds down, and look at all these Marines. They're completely helpless. They can't do anything because they can't use their range under the cloud, and I think DustSwarm buying enough time with the blinding cloud there to get his forces back in position, and that's going to be a sting right there. DeMuslim basically just sent his whole army in on a suicide mission that had no success at all there. I mean, he didn't kill anything, but at the very least, he is going to use it as a distraction. You know, just utilizing this opportunity wherever he can, and he's going to go for an attack on this hatchery. This time I think it will be successful. He should be able to get this hatchery down with this many Marines. And the hatchery falls. There it is for DeMuslim, the victory he's been waiting for, as DustSwarm was out of position. Unfortunately for him, he didn't connect the creep between these two bases. That would have obviously helped quite a bit. That, you know, hindsight is 2020, and this hatchery is now down. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some of these tabs. Spending is very close across the board for all players. And look at how many medevacs DeMuslim's got on the field. He's actually got 19 medevacs and 80 Marines. It seems to me that DeMuslim has decided the composition to beat Roach Hydra is just straight up raw powered Marines with medevac support. But the problem now is Vipers are on the field. Vipers with Blinding Cloud shut Marines down. And here we go. DustSwarm could throw out a bunch of Blinding Clouds to negate the Marines' ranged firepower. Of course, the problem with DustSwarm is his army is mostly ranged as well, so he has to stay out of the effects of the cloud. That gives DeMuslim the opportunity to pull back and retreat away from the clouds if he so chooses to. I don't know why he's staying here and fighting. He needs to actually move forward and get out of the clouds. And I think he was just staying under the green gas just for a little bit too long. Now, he does have a planetary fortress to fall back to. Meanwhile, there's a drop going on inside the main base. DeMuslim using this as a distraction to go for the hive tech structures. Does he have enough SCVs to keep this planetary fortress alive? I don't know. The SCVs are going on full-on repair mode. I think DeMuslim will be able to keep it alive. Meanwhile, the infestation pit and the spawning pool have gone down. The Hydra stand is going to go down as well. And DeMuslim with big plays here. Meanwhile, he keeps his, no, he doesn't keep the planetary fortress alive. Wow, big mistake right there by DeMuslim. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe the Roaches and Hydras overwhelmed the SCVs, started attacking the SCVs instead of the PF, and now it looks like while DeMuslim gets, you know, a huge success inside the main base, he also loses a command center as well. So that isn't exactly the result he was hoping for, and now it's still a very, very close game. At the very least, DeMuslim cleans up DustSwarm's forces on his side of the map, but DustSwarm now is forced to pull back. And how will DustSwarm deal with the loss of his primary structures? He's got to get a new spawning pool up, got to get a new Hydra den, infestation pit, you name it. All these structures are critical for a late game Zerg. If he doesn't get it together, I mean, I think there's this kind of window here where DeMuslim can exploit the Zerg and, you know, realize, hey, the Zerg can't make new Hydras. He can't make new Roaches. Well, I guess he can make new Roaches because there are some Roaches coming right now. But there is an opportunity here for DeMuslim to exploit DustSwarm. DustSwarm's got to be careful. I would actually, if I was him right now, I'd stay back and, well, actually, he's just going to straight up win this fight. But I was going to say I would stay back and wait for my, you know, Hydra den, infestation pit, everything to come back up before attacking. But it looks like DustSwarm is smelling blood right now, thinking about going for the all-out victory. Could he actually do it? He's got a lot of Roaches and Hydras here, trying to punch through the front door, and DeMuslim is just out of money. He cannot make new Marines, and I think DustSwarm might actually have this. I don't know. The problem is DeMuslim just doesn't have any troops. He doesn't have any money to make new forces. He's got a ton of gas, and unfortunately for him, he never made the switch into Sky Terran to start producing Ravens. So he is actually forced to GG, and DustSwarm gets the victory. What a brilliant play by him. I mean, I was gonna say I felt like he should stay back, you know, be conservative and wait for a new Hydra den, a new infestation pit, and all that stuff to come back up. But he, you know, accurately decided that, you know, now is the time to go for the victory, and he did it. He did it. That was beautiful. What a play by DustSwarm, taking out one of EG's players, DeMuslim, and a really cool game right there. A long hard fought battle, 30k, 27k. Looking at the workers lost here, obviously the Zerg killing more than DeMuslim killed off. You know, 59 against 17, but overall it was a close one. Very hard fought. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you guys have any sick replays, feel free to send them in to me at HDreplays@gmail.com. I actually got these replays from a fan So continue to send me some sick ones from the pros. And of course, if you guys like what you see, feel free to subscribe at HD Starcraft on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'll see you guys in the next cast, and this is HD signing out.